I strongly support the Trump administration's decision to ban Harvard University from admitting international students. For many years, Harvard University has become a major hub for the Chinese Communist Party's CCP influence. During the 2016 U.S. congressional hearing investigating the CCP's organ harvesting, Congressman Chris Smith angrily rebuked Harvard Medical School professor Francis Delmonico for covering up and defending the CCP's atrocities. In the United States, over 140 million people are on voluntary organ donors list, yet the annual organ transplant volume is only about 20,000 cases, with liver and kidney transplants requiring a wait of over a year. In China, almost no one donates organs, yet the annual organ transplant volume reaches 60,000 to 100,000 cases, with organ waiting times of only about a month. The so-called emergency liver transplants, which can be performed within 72 hours, account for a staggering 26.6%. This means that 26.6% of liver transplants in China have a waiting time of less than 3 days. Such a dark reality is, of course, understood by Francis Delmonico, a distinguished Harvard professor, but he abandoned his conscience for profit. He even facilitated an event hosted by the Vatican under Pope Francis at the time to whitewash the CCP's organ harvesting crime, with the Vatican's Secretary of State personally receiving Huang Jiefu, China's Vice Minister of Health, and others. How great is this sin? Harvard Kennedy School of Government has also tailored numerous training programs for CCP officials, which CCP state media gleefully called China's Senior Official Training Camp. The Xinjiang Production and Construction Corps (XPCC) was sanctioned by the U.S. Treasury Department in 2020 for its involvement in Xinjiang's concentration camps, with most forms of cooperation with U.S. individuals and institutions prohibited. However, some Harvard projects continue to engage with XPCC in 2023 and 2024. Although official promotional materials did not explicitly mention XPCC, photos showed XPCC representatives attending events with their name tags blurred, raising suspicions that Harvard was attempting to conceal XPCC's involvement. Harvard has also accepted substantial donations from the CCP. According to the Harvard Crimson and Public Investigations by the U.S. Department of Education, Harvard has received tens of millions of dollars in donations from Chinese sources since 2013, many of which were anonymous or funneled through intermediaries in Hong Kong, Singapore, and elsewhere. The shadow of the CCP's official involvement looms large. Harvard has also collaborated with Huawei Technologies on research, including artificial intelligence and telecommunications. These partnerships were terminated only after the U.S. government placed Huawei on the entity list, and Harvard never proactively severed ties. Harvard's Fairbanks Center for Chinese Studies is a leading institution for Chinese studies in the U.S., but it has long focused on engagement with the CCP, accused of being overly lenient and avoiding public criticism of Xinjiang's human rights abuses or Hong Kong issues. Some of the center's projects have also received funding from Chinese companies or foundations. Harvard has repeatedly invited CCP officials or scholars closely tied to the government, such as Wang Qixin, Yang Jieqi, and Li Zhaoxin, to speak at the Kennedy School. These events are often promoted as cultural exchanges, but critics argue they serve to whitewash the CCP's image. During the 2019 to 2020 Hong Kong anti-extradition movement, Hong Kong students at Harvard initiated protests, but some mainland Chinese students collectively pressured the university to remove protest-related slogans. The university's handling of the situation was criticized by some liberal scholars as weak, failing to firmly uphold free speech. Harvard admits a large number of mainland Chinese students each year, some of whom come from princely or high-ranking official families, raising questions about whether they enjoy a green channel in admissions. The opaque admissions process has become a source of suspicion regarding quid pro quo arrangements. During Trump's first term, the China Initiative explicitly named several elite universities, including Harvard, demanding transparency about funding sources and academic exchanges. Harvard was singled out, but its response was seen as merely superficial. A few Harvard scholars who dared to openly criticize the CCP, such as Arthur Waldron and Ezra Vogel in his later years, were sometimes sidelined or marginalized on campus, indicating Harvard's academic politicization tendency. Harvard's former chemistry department chair and nanotechnology professor Charles Lieber was investigated and convicted by the FBI for participating in the CCP's Thousand Talents Plan, sparking concerns about academic espionage and the CCP's talent recruitment programs. Although an American scientist, he had clear financial ties with CCP-funded entities, raising questions about Harvard's internal compliance systems. This expert began working at Tsinghua University's Research Institute in Shenzhen, China in late April this year. All of these are just part of the facts showing Harvard University's role in aiding the CCP and covering up its crimes. Banning it from admitting international students would prevent the CCP's princelings or high-ranking official families from engaging in quid pro quo arrangements with Harvard.